It's a great opportunity for Tyson, which has fallen on his lap after he tried to fight Oleksandr Usyk, after he tried to fight Anthony Joshua. Those fights haven't materialized.
Pro boxing fans here in London for the second leg of Usyk versus Dubois press tour. Interesting stuff. We were with a special guest who I got to speak to as well, in Prince Naseem Hamed.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I did like that addition of Naz on he was like a little hype man, hyping little things that were getting said. It's quite cool.
He was hyped up, wasn't it? Look, there's been a lot of talk about different princes in boxing. This is the original guy, right? This is the original prince. It was great to have him up there. He was a lot of fun, and he's a hype man, isn't he? And I'm excited for his son, for Adam. Adam about to make his pro debut on this show. So yeah, I enjoyed the presser. I've enjoyed leg 2 of this international media tour, and I'm looking forward to this fight. What a chance! What a chance for Daniel Dubois. Can you believe, right? Some people, some morons online were saying Daniel Dubois shouldn't be taking this. How weird is that? Like, why are there people out there that try and put caps on other people's dreams? He's a big puncher. He's fighting a guy that's 11 years older than him. He can change his life. He can rock the world. But no, he shouldn't take it because Bob on Twitter has decided that he's not ready. So mental, the world that we live in. But half a rant there. I'm excited though. I'm excited.
You nearly went on a Don Charles then. Don was serious, man. Listen. He's hyped. He said, "I'm hungry." Yeah. And the team's starving. But listen, a lot of people are saying, and rightfully I think, that massive underdog, he hasn't got the experience to fight someone like Usyk. We spoke to Derek Chisora, interestingly, at the AJ White press conference, and he said Usyk's a Rolls Royce. Whether Dubois can reach them levels of that Rolls Royce, we don't know, but they've sparred a few times in the past. Is that correct? Have they sparred in the past?
I don't know. I saw that interview with Chisora, and that surprised me as well. I don't know if it's true or false. I don't know if he's got him confused with someone else, but I actually don't know. We have to ask Daniel.
I did want to ask Daniel, but obviously we never got time with him today. But yeah, rightfully the underdog, because obviously Usyk's probably number 1, number 2 in the division. What does Daniel need to do on the night to Usyk to win?
So he's a Rolls Royce, right? What happens if a train hits a Rolls Royce? What happens if a train hits a Rolls Royce? Look, what has he got to do to beat him? He has got to not overthink it. He's got to back himself. He's got to be fearless, and he's got to go after him as quickly as possible and just try and knock him out. And that appears to be the plan. He's talking about how I've heard him say things like he's just going to fight crazy and just stick it on him from the very start. And I think Daniel Dubois will fight this fight how everybody wanted Anthony Joshua to fight the fight against Oleksandr Usyk. And maybe it's his youth, maybe it's naivety, maybe it's inexperience, but all of those things can help him in this fight. And I think he's got a great chance.
Obviously, Frank spoke about it there, and he said, listen, Usyk's a very good champion, but he's had some sticky patches. Talks about the second Joshua fight where Joshua was better than the first fight. Talks about Derek Chisora fight. Obviously bigged up his man in Daniel Dubois, but when you look at Daniel's last fight, he did get knocked down 3 times against somebody that fight fans, people in boxing were thinking, you know what, he should just do a job, and he didn't. It was a tougher test for him and tougher ask. What's your response in regards to that? Because there's that argument as well.
Let's talk about that fight, right? He was caught cold in the first round, went down from a shot. That was a proper shot. Were you there that night?
Yeah.
I was there. I had about 6 layers on, right? It was freezing. Yeah. This guy, Daniel Dubois, apparently didn't warm up. I didn't see any sweat on him. So he got out there, got caught cold, went over. It's heavyweight boxing. Then he injured himself. And he went down voluntarily because he didn't know what was going on with his leg. So imagine all that happening and still knocking the guy out. I think there's positives that can come from that fight as well. He found himself in a scenario similar to how he found himself against Joe Joyce, in that he was on the floor and he had a decision to make, right? A couple of times he had a decision to make, and this time he decided to get up, continue and knock the guy out. I think he showed growth in that fight.
Fair point. A lot of people are sort of talking about Oleksandr Usyk doing the job here, and then moving on to a possible Tyson Fury fight. We will talk about Fury in a little while, but what fights are going to excite you after this? Obviously he's fought AJ. The only fight that makes sense in this division now is that Fury fight. Oleksandr Usyk. Is that the fight that yourself, the boxing fans, everyone wants right now?
Well, look, we'll find out after August 26th, because if Daniel Dubois chins him, I can't imagine there'll be an awful lot of call for Fury versus Usyk. So I'll reserve judgment on that. We're not in the Usyk business here at Queensberry. We're in the Daniel Dubois business. Brits should be backing him. We should all be in the Daniel Dubois business, and we should be backing him to go and become the unified world heavyweight champion. And then, hey, could be undisputed against Tyson Fury. 2 Brits. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
It would be. Obviously, talking about Tyson Fury there, a lot of negative sort of energy towards this fight that's been announced with Francis Ngannou. When we saw Frank went on Talksport, him and Andy Townsend had a bit of a back and forth about this. But what do you make of this? It seems like, whether it's unfairly or not, that Tyson's getting a large brunt of the negative opinions online. Or what do you make of that?
I think some of it is faux rage. I think some of it is just people moaning for the sake of moaning. People love moaning. I even saw when Spence Crawford was announced as pay-per-view, there were people moaning about that. Oh no, there's no way. Look, come, grow up. Just don't moan about everything. Is my thought. But look, with this Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight, it's come about because it's a great opportunity for Tyson, which has fallen on his lap after he tried to fight Oleksandr Usyk, after he tried to fight Anthony Joshua. Those fights haven't materialised. He hasn't got a mandatory. The WBC ordered like a final eliminator between Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder. I think they're still figuring that out. They seem to be sending each other messages on Instagram every day, so hopefully we get to see that fight soon. And this has fallen in his lap. A huge crossover fight with worldwide interest for a big load of money, against a guy that everyone knows as well, in Francis Ngannou. And it's an event where you've got the lineal boxing champion against the lineal MMA champion. It's once in a lifetime, really. You'll probably never see anything like this again. So, because there's some in boxing who are pretending to be more angry than they are, should Tyson turn down the opportunity for that? Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Do you want to quickly just talk about two other things in boxing quickly? Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, a fight that was talked about for a long time. Frank said in many interviews that that's the route that they want. That's why they never took the Tyson Fury fight. What do you make of that?
They didn't want that route. AJ did, probably, towards the end. But the rest of them didn't want that route, believe me. But by sending like a little low ball offer to start with and then going missing on your phone, why do you think Dillian Whyte had to go on Talksport? But I love the fight, to be honest. I ain't going to bullshit about this. It kind of feels like a loser leaves town fight, and a lot of jeopardy in the fight. I like Dillian Whyte. I like Dillian Whyte a lot. I think he's hilarious. I think his interviews with Kugan Cassius are hilarious, and it's going to be an interesting fight. A lot of jeopardy, and I rate Anthony Joshua for getting hold of it when it looked like they might find a way to not fight Dillian Whyte. He got hold of it. He said, "Get the rematch clause out. I'm going to knock him out." I like that, so I'm looking forward to it.
Finally, before I let you go, a big fight at the end of this month in Las Vegas, in Errol Spence Jr versus Terrance Crawford. Give me your thoughts on that, man. Big fight.
Big fight at last, and on the home of boxing, TNT Sports as well. So, mate, the schedule's looking nuts, by the way. Like, the TNT Sports are starting explosively. But yeah, very excited about that. It's been a long time coming, and I think we've got them just about at the right time. I think if it had gone another year, then you start looking at guys who are heading towards their later 30s. This is just about right. So much intrigue. Feels like they're both in their prime. And who do I think is going to win? I would lean towards Crawford. I'd lean towards him. I never used to, by the way. I just used to think he was too little for Errol Spence. And then he went and batted up Sean Porter. So I was like, okay, well, he's serious. He's a proper welterweight now. He's knocking out guys like Sean Porter. You don't just do that to Sean Porter. So, I would favour him. I think he's got more tools in the toolbox. But I can't wait. What a fight.
Dave Sahni, the MC, the presenter, the hype man. Thank you so much. What other titles are you going to... Where are you going right now?
I was saying earlier, you could look on Twitter, there'll be all sorts of titles for me. All sorts of titles, mate. Many of them are not very nice. But I don't know, mate. I'm just loving it. I'm just enjoying it. I'm having fun. And as long as I'm having fun working, it's not really working, is it?
Exactly that. Deb Sahni, always a pleasure talking to yourself. Thank you so much for talking to pro boxing fans. I appreciate it, as always.